it's a false belief that there's a dualistic world, but in the real sense there isn't.
But why is there then? Why does it seem to be dualistic?
Because of false beliefs.
Yeah, that's a very general umbrella that covers nearly everything.
Well, I
Be
think
specific if you can.
perhaps it's the belief that we're separate and apart from God,
Yeah.
or that things in this world are real.
Yeah, all of those are right, like, but Roy, explain your answers, yes and no.
From our conventional experience, the mind is dividing everything up.
Yeah.
That's fundamental.
Yeah.
But true reality is, if you're looking at the world not from the mind but from higher awareness, there's only oneness.
Yes, exactly. So let me explain here what it's saying, right? And in the course, there's 5 levels in the course, okay? So level 1 consists of these 3. You have the body. So when Jesus is talking to you in the course, he's talking to you in a body, because that's what you believe yourself to be, yeah? Later on, Jesus will talk to you here, because that's where you are, okay? So he's talking to you now in 2 different places, and he's telling you 2 different things. This is why the course is so complicated and confusing for people. And he says it throughout the course, level confusion, level confusion. But yet, when I bring up these levels, people say there's no levels. You know, if you don't break the course into the structure of levels, then how can you do it? It's impossible. Because it's moving up the levels. Jesus does this in the Song of Prayer, the ladder, he calls it. Okay, a ladder means, do you want to? We'll just stop. We'll just stop for a second.
Yeah.
So Michael, what was the second level again, the description of it?
It's the Holy Spirit. It's true right mind.
You know, this confusion of levels, it doesn't just happen in Course of Miracles, it happens
Yeah.
in all traditions.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think that's why a lot of people like Muji, Eckhart Tolle, and a lot of those people are doing the course, because they're seeing in the course the structure of the levels. You know, it's very, very specific, the structures and the levels. So, here's what happens now, Brent, okay? It's the mind that we're attached to, of right and wrong, and good and bad, okay, that we project onto the world. Remember what the Course says? The world is neutral. The body is neutral. Isn't that right? Okay? It's this mind that we're attached to that takes away the neutrality of the body and the world. Because the world and the body need each other. Take one of them out of the equation, both go. Yeah? True. Okay, so these 2 are attached to each other. Okay? And here, the body then is attached to the mind, the split mind, the mind of right and wrong and good and bad. So in other words, for these 2 minds is yin and yang. People think the yin and the yang is the masculine and the feminine. It's not. It's the 2 rooms. It's the 2 rooms of right and wrong and good and bad. This is the ego right mind. This is the ego wrong mind. This is total unconsciousness at this level. No matter what you choose, you're choosing the ego. Alright, that's when Eckhart Tolle says at this level, there's no choice. But in my book, I was saying there's the illusion of choice. Okay? There's the illusion of choice. You're okay, go ahead. We're just doing a little recap on last week, so you're okay. We were expecting you and everything. Grab a seat. You know, do you want to just, you know, if you want a coffee or something over there? So, like I say, we're just recapping now because I want to bring everybody into the room and up to speed to continue this on today, because it's important that we get this. This is where, you know, we have left off the last time. So, there's another very interesting phenomenon that happens at this level. Okay? There's something very interesting in these two rooms. Okay? You have the good room, you have the bad room. You have what's right, you have what's wrong. Why in the Course, when Jesus says the need to be right? You know, remember he says, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Okay, so why do we need to be right? What's he talking about? No matter what you could be arguing over, and you've done this many times, the most stupid of things, but you will still want to be right.
Right.
Yeah, but there's a deep underlying negative experience happening that you're trying to avoid.
Well, the ego wants to be right, so if it's wrong, maybe it feels like it'd be obliterated.
Not really, no. No, the ego is the master. The ego set this up. We're just the people who have been caught in the spider's web. Why is it when you have an argument, you might even know you're wrong, deep down, but you won't want to admit it. Why? Because people here, if you look at this, people associate, and this is the attachment to an emotion, people associate right with being good.
Oh, good. Yeah.
People associate wrong with being bad. So to be bad is to be guilty. No one wants to be in the bad room. Not over a silly little argument. Okay? So these are the attachments that we have to this thought system that is the ego's. It doesn't make sense. It's crazy. Okay? So as long as you insist on being right in an argument, what you're really doing is you're wanting this other person in the bad room, because if they don't go into the bad room, you have to go into the bad room. Because this is the mind of right and wrong and good and evil. Remember in the Garden of Eden, what was the tree? What was the name of the tree?
The tree of knowledge of good and evil.
The tree of knowledge of right and wrong, and good and evil, or good and bad. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the apple in the Garden of Eden. And every time that you take a bite of it, you will suffer. Okay? This is the apple, this is the Garden of Eden, and this is you. And there's a woman telling you what to do. Eat the apple. Okay, but this is true. This is what the Garden of Eden story is. Basically, we're living it every single day. This world is the Garden of Eden. Okay? And what we do, every time that we make a decision on what's right, or wrong, or good, or bad, you take a bite of that apple, and you will get hurt. So the world is not dualistic. We're attached to a mind that's dualistic. And we project that dualistic mind onto the world. So if you look at the world now, right, you've split up the world here, and you have put it into these two rooms. So to empty the cup, all right, this link has to be broken. So everybody's trying to solve the problem of the world here in bodies at this level. And what did Einstein say?
You could never solve a problem at the level from which it came.
Right. So where can the problem be solved?
Up at the next
Level
level.
2.
Where?
The false and true? No.
So you'll solve it at the false level.
No.
Level
It's called
3.
right-
Three.
right-
Three.
So you're going to jump level 2.
No, you can't do that. No.
So where?
I don't know. I thought level 2.
Right
but-
mind.
There's only one thing that's true on level 2. This doesn't exist. This is the ego thought system in its entirety.
Oh, yeah.
So what the ego does at this level, all right, the ego takes all of these thoughts here, all of the ego thoughts, and splits them into good and bad, right and wrong. Then we attach ourselves to this mind of good and bad and right and wrong, and that's all we think. That's the way that we think. So here goes. You look at somebody in the world, and you're going to automatically put them into one of those two rooms, aren't you? Because that's what you think. And as children, we're educated that this is good. We have to use good judgment to protect ourselves, to survive. We have to spot the bad people. We have to stay away from the bad people. We have to keep the bad people away from us. So you can see the whole education system was set up to back up the entire ego thought system. Isn't that true? So, the only way we can solve all of this problem is from this spot. X marks the spot. Okay? And that's what Einstein meant. You can't solve the problem at the same level where the problem's been created. Here. Nothing changes. And when you're seeking to change the world, without changing the mind, remember that's what the Course says at the very beginning. Don't seek to change the world, rather seek to change your mind about the world first. Okay, so when you're seeking to change people in the world, okay, what are you doing?
Putting blame,
Hmm?
not taking
Oh,
responsibility.
but that's a giving. But what are you really doing on this
You're
concept?
reinforcing the division between right and wrong.
Yeah,
Reinforcing
because
the
what you're
split.
doing is you're putting them into one of these two rooms.
Right. You reinforce the split world.
Yeah. Every single time that you want someone else to change, to someone else to do something, you're coming from this mindset, and now maybe they're here, and you want them to be in here. Or maybe you're in here, and you want to stay here, so you're putting them in there. Your motivation is coming from here, and wherever you put the person, you go with them. You put somebody into hell, you're walking in front of them. Because in reality, there's no difference between these two rooms. This is the illusion of good, the illusion of being right. Because tell me one thing that's true in this world. Anybody? One thing.
Love.
That's it. So everybody that's arguing over concepts, ideas, thoughts, philosophies, religions, politics, and everything else, there's none of it true. There's none of it right. And people are dying for it. They're dying for this belief system here. So as long as you stay attached to this mind at this level, that's all you're going to see in the world. You're going to see a world of conflict. The conflict is here, being projected here. But, going back to my point, there's something else very interesting here, right? You see, when you're making plans, you're planning your future. Where are you?
In the future?
In the past.
Level 1.
You're in a good room. This is the room of planning in your future. Here, all right, is your past. Okay? So here's the secret for all those people who are doing
Where
meditations.
you want to be.
Okay? When you, the most natural place that you can be on this level and where you're going to be the most content and the most happiest is right here. That's the personality. When you are trying to be someone you're not, trying to impress people, trying to people please, trying to, be, someone who you want to really badly be. Say if you're doing a Course in Miracles, you're doing support for spirituality, you really want to wake up. Once you leave the personality here and you enter into this space, now the ego's in full charge. You're seeking outside yourself, and you've given all power to the ego. Okay? Now it's impossible for you to hit the now in this state. You see, here's the key. This is why it's so difficult for people to get into the now at this level, because there is no present moment. There's only two rooms. Everything past, everything future. And every moment that you're at this level Every moment, your mind is either in the past or the future, every present moment. It can't be any other way. There's no space for the now. Do you really think that the ego at this level would leave a loophole that people could access the now? Because in the now, in the bliss, there's no ego. So this is why this level was created here, was to cover up the present moment completely. Alright, so if you're doing meditation, be very careful not to be doing it from here. Be very careful not to be doing it from here. Come into your personality, and that means you come into contentness. Okay? When you're doing the meditation, you're not trying to meet anybody. You're not trying to go anywhere. You're not trying to get something from this. To be still unconditionally. If you can be still unconditionally, okay, that'll take you into this space here, into your personality. Now in your personality, okay, you can transcend to here. There's no other way up. You imagine this is an elevator, okay? So let's say that's the elevator. All right, I'm in a room here, room out there. So can I go up in the elevator from here? No. I need to go to the elevator, and the next thing then the elevator takes me up. You see, this is like a sophisticated maze, the ego thought system. The ego doesn't have any independent thoughts. It can't think, oh, you're getting a bit too smart to yourself. You know, I'm going to put you down, or, you know, you haven't had enough pain, so I'm going to give you more pain. That doesn't work that way. The ego thought system works on cause and effect. Every single thought that you have has an effect on you. Okay? And the ego has to obey that, because its law is cause and effect. Heaven is the same, cause and effect. Okay? We give love and we receive love. Cause and effect. So the cause of our love is what we give. And we get the effects of that back. Okay, so everything's on cause and effect. So, in your meditation, if you're happy and content, so let's say you're sitting there and a lot of these thoughts comes in now. Alright, what do we do with the thoughts? I was talking with Gloria this year in the week, and this is why I'm sitting here not to answer. But sometimes when we hear something so quickly, alright, it just goes in and out so quickly. So this is why I'm not really standing up here trying to tease you, or, you know, I'm just trying to pause the whole thing down a little moment so we can think.
So when a thought comes up when you're meditating,
Yeah.
you take note of it and then let it go. Don't get involved in it and follow it.
Right, yeah, but what the problem is that we're involved in it. You're already involved in it.
As soon as you take note of it, you're already getting less involved.
Yeah, but that's not going to let it go. We did this in the last class. We'll get a ruler. That's the way that we were taught.
No, I mean the bad circle.
Remember, we did this Monday night too for the rest of the people. So you heard it twice. Roy only heard it once. So now who's laughing?
Roy.
And these thoughts comes in. Okay? We have a choice. What do we do with it? Guilty thought comes in. What do we do? It's good or bad or right or wrong. Isn't it? You keep doing that, and now you're paying attention here. You're just giving this energy. You're staying attached to this. When a thought comes in, any thought comes in now, and you observe it. You look at it, and just simply, is this true or false? Just that simple there, right? We'll take you there and take you in here. Because that's the truth. The thought comes in, and you look at this thought, and the thought is guilt. Our first response is to put a story to that guilt. Isn't it? We look to see, are we guilty or is somebody else is guilty? Alright, what we're really doing is what we've done all our lives is we're deciding who's going to go into which room here. The good room or the bad room. That keeps you attached to this level. What takes you up the levels is choice. You could look at this thought now of guilt and say, no, that's not true. You could have an experience of feeling an emotion of shame. That's not true. That's forgiveness. Do you know why? Because now you're not projecting it onto someone. You're not rationalizing. When you basically, remember what Jesus says in the Course, the only difference between me and you is I chose against the ego. That's how you choose God. That's how you choose love. You say no to fear. Yeah? So, once you start looking at everything in the world now, from this level, what's true and what's false. Even if you see something that's false and recognize that's false. See something that's true. Someone doing something, helping someone. What's that? Love. Yeah. So there's people in this world and they're doing acts of kindness and acts of love all the time. But we never see it. We never acknowledge it. But what we will acknowledge is the moment that someone makes a mistake. Why? Why do we not acknowledge the good as much as we should? But we, one error, and we'll spot it. Because we're always trying to make sure that we're in the good room by seeing someone else who's in the bad room. If we can't find someone in the bad room, it means it's us. There was no saying I used to play poker. And there was no saying is when you sit down at the table, if you can't spot the sucker, you're the sucker. Okay, so it's a bit like this. Okay, so what we're really doing here, right? Everything at this moment in time is transcendence. Everything in the Course is to get to here.
You're saying we all want to be in the good circle, not the bad circle. But what about people who identify with being the bad boy, the bad girl, the rebel, everyone else is too good and I'm the bad one?
Yeah, well that's their good room, you see. Because what they're saying is they have made a judgment against society. They're probably saying, I hate capitalism. I hate the banks, I hate this, I hate that. So to them, their good room now becomes this to rebel. You look at it this way. And the way that this is going to work is this. You look at anybody in this world, right at this moment in time. And if someone says to you, right, I'm going to change places with you, put you into this person, and put that person into you, would you do it?
Why not?
Well, what if the person was serving life 40 years?
Well, it would be an experience.
What if the person was a serial killer? What if the person was a rapist?
But
People that
we're all
murder.
that anyhow.
Exactly. That's my point. If there's somebody in this world and you're not willing to be them, what you're saying is you're different to that person. Okay, what if you look at, say, the rapist and the murderer from a different perspective, from a different angle? Is it what they're doing true? Is it love? No. That's all you have to do. But you see, what we are conditioned to do is put them into one of these two rooms and then find witnesses, find backup, find evidence, and get as many people to agree with you as possible.
Take pictures.
Take pictures.
So is that one of the reasons why we don't like to put ourselves in someone else's shoes and see things from their perspective? Because it weakens our ego,
Yes.
a sense of being good?
Yes.
Especially if we think they're in the bad circle.
Yeah. You see, also in this room is specialness. The more pretty, the more nice, the more lovely people and special people that you have in this room, we attach ourselves to that. Success is in this room, failure is in this room. This is why people hate failure. So this is why, You know, people who, in Ireland, you know, they'll attach themselves to a successful football team. This is why sport's so big. Because if the football team, I could be living a very miserable life, okay? But the highlight of my week will be when my football team wins. Why?
Because you're identifying with the successful people, that makes you put you in a good box.
It's like, but I attach myself to them, they won, that's the same as me winning. Okay, it filters out.
Right.
So, this is why, you know, when you go to a football match, all right, especially in the UK and England, like, you know, the hate between the two teams was so venomous. And there was one guy in the middle wearing black who got it all, the referee. He was the only guy who couldn't win. All right, but what's happening with there is this is the two sets of supporters. And everybody wants a good team. No one wants a bad team. All right, a bad team means you're a loser. Bad teams means you're associated with failure and guilt in the bad room. No one wants that. That's why people are depressed when their team doesn't win. Because the team now lost, they're a failure, they're in this room. And you're in with them because you've attached yourself to them.
Right.
Okay, same thing works here. So I remember there was a thing in Ireland where Manchester United, they're a team in England, and they went through a period of 20 years and they nearly won everything. And nearly every person attached them to it, and everybody was supporting Manchester United. So what happened then is there was another group started called ABUs, anybody but United. So you had this mass of people who attached themselves to this successful football team. And were really, you know, when the team won, they weren't racist about it either, they rammed it down everybody else's throats, you know. So then a collection of nearly every other football team, they all got together and called themselves the ABUs. So that was giving them a greater chance now of all these teams beating this one team. So you can see the competition is between two people. It can be between a community, it could be between countries. Do you know? But this is the basis of all conflict in every level.
What is, you mentioned the referee that has to be remain neutral. Would that represent being in the personality in the middle?
Who?
The referee.
No, the referee would never be in the air because he is so far in here. Because the pressure is on him to make sure he gets everything right. He wants to have a good game because in England at the moment they have Sky Sports and there's about 50 cameras at the game and you get away with nothing. I mean, that must have a camera on every player, like, and they expect the referee or someone to pick it up, like, and they have got 50 eyes on this,
Right.
you know. So the referees are being analysed all the time, and then of course when the managers come out and say the ref missed a penalty, and I think last weekend there was a couple of decisions where the referees mixed it, and the managers comes out, they're in the bad room of course, okay? So after the game they all get into trouble because they come out and say something about the referee. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to put the referee in here so they'll get in here. Because now they're a victim. You see, the victimizer is in here. The victim's here. Okay? So when you are playing the victim, you're in this room. Anytime that you are a little bit annoyed, a little bit irritated, you're playing the victim. You're either playing the victim to the world or somebody or something in the world. Every single time. And it's automatic. So no one wants to be the victimizer. So you can see now the emphasis that Jesus put on this in the course about do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Because no matter how right you are, there's no happiness in this room, there's only fear. Here's the guilt, here's the fear.
What about characters such as like Charlie Brown in the Peanuts comic strip? He's basically a loser. So why would he be so popular if nobody wants to be a loser?
Well, you see,
He can't do anything right, and people relate to that. Because
but when you're looking at that, why would people like that?
That's my question.
Because that putting them up, because this is a guy that's worse than me. So of course you're going to attach yourself to that. You're not going to attach yourself to it in a way that is going to be spiritual or truthful. You're attaching yourself to it because you've just found someone who's absolutely losing at everything. So all you have to do is basically want something and you're better than Charlie Brown. It's like, you know, it's like two people who hang about with each other, like, you know. One person will be feeding off the other person's energy, like the other, you know, one person could be feeling good about themselves all the time because they have a friend who makes them feel good about themselves all the time. So the friendship will be there, but it's still conditional. When you rely on someone to make you feel good, all right, what's the trap?
What happens if they're not there anymore?
No, it's that person, you're also giving that person permission to make you feel bad.
Right.
You can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
You see here, once you buy into this at all, it's the same coin from two different sides. You can't have one without the other. So what makes the bad room?
Well, it's judgment.
Oh no, judgment's an effect. Judgment's not the problem. Nope.
It's what we don't like.
That's, yeah, but what makes it, what creates it? If you don't know what creates this, how are you going to stop creating it?
Our need to be right.
Yes, that does create the bad room. You see, what creates the bad room is the good room, the persona. When you're trying to be something you're not, okay? All right? You're energizing this and you're energizing that. You can't energize one without the other. They both will be equal proportions. So let's say you're trying to, you know, change the world, you're trying to do everything. You're going to be so far into the ego thought system here. All right? You're going to be so indebted to the ego. You're going to be so far away from happiness. Okay? Because the more you come back into the center, this is where your happiness is. When you're really depressed or lonely or whatever, it just means you've gone a long way here or you're a long way here. Okay? So time, you're in charge of it. You can speed it up or you can slow it down. When you're really happy, time flies, doesn't it? Yeah? And when you're really depressed, really down, what happens?
Goes slow.
Right? Because the further you expand in either of these, all right, you're further away from the now. Okay, but there's a difference here. In this room, you will feel happy, but it's the ego's happiness. You're always going to be happy because you're getting exactly what you want. It's the illusion of happiness. And you can't feel that happy and take all that happiness without feeling the depression, the guilt, and the down that's about to happen. And it will come. It always comes. Because in the ego thought system, for every up, there's an equal and opposite down. So if things or people in this world are making you happy right now, I would look at them again and do a little bit of work with them.
And do what?
Do work.
Yeah.
So, the wrong room, that's where the shadow is,
Yes.
but then how can, I thought the shadow created the persona.
No, it's the other way about it. The persona creates the shadow. Ultimately, right, in the truth of it from this level, okay, the both of them are the same. Okay? But the ego has the perception or the perceived goodness. It's like false humility. It's like false empathy. All in this room here. Okay? It's only the illusions. But here's the key. You see, this mind here is the ego in its entirety. The ego splits into itself in here, right? So it's not that, you know, you just automatically one day started creating this. This has been in place for a long time. But the point that I'm making is, you see, when you're in this room, You're creating with the ego, that's miscreating, as Jesus talks about in the Course. You're creating outside of God. You're creating without God. That's miscreation. So for to create with God, you must go to here. You have to come back into your center. Because when you're trying to do this yourself, when you're trying to fix yourself, then you're doing it with the ego, you're saying, I don't want God. So you're nowhere near here. You're as far away from here as possible. Okay? When you come into the personality, you can actually go, right, all the way there to the state of mind. You might only get it for a few seconds or maybe longer, but you can open the door to the bliss of here through that portal there. That's the portal.
So, I want to ask you if I'm translating this correctly in my mind. It seems to me everything on level 1 is not real with a capital R or true with a capital T. It's all the ego's world. It's all false.
Yeah.
But we have to realize it. We have to look at it
Right, but what we have,
to even get to level 2.
yeah, it's reinterpretation. So,
It's like the falseness that we made up,
Yeah.
or the ego
Yeah.
mind made up.
Yeah.
Okay.
so what we have to do is this. We have to reinterpret the world through this mind from here. Okay? So that means you have to become right-minded. And in our last class, we did forgiveness, we did complete forgiveness, we did simple forgiveness, we did self-empowerment. All those tools will take you to here. But just to give you an idea, all right? There's one law, and you won't get in there without it if you're not willing to adhere to it. Anybody tell me what it is? In any situation, in any conflict, you can go into this room, provided,
Forgiveness?
which means full responsibility. If you're not willing to take complete responsibility for everything that happened in a situation, you will not get in that door. Because that's what forgiveness is. True forgiveness says, I'm responsible for this.
For everything.
Yes. If you don't, then you come down and you stay here. And now, if you share responsibility, if you say to somebody, well, you're as much to blame as I am, what have you just done? You're putting in here. You're sharing the blame. You're splitting the mind. You're saying, I'm responsible for you. You're saying, the separation happened. You're saying, there really is you, and it's your fault. That was the original first split in the sonship. Remember when we did the separation? There was the one son that split into two. It split into two because one was trying to get rid of their guilt onto the other. That was the whole Adam and Eve story. You know, Eve blamed Adam, or Adam blamed Eve, and then Eve blamed the serpent. So everybody's trying to blame, share the blame. You leave sweets out in a room and the children playing, you go to the child and say, who had the sweets? Automatically they'll turn around, they'll go, it was them. You know, no one wanted to take blame. So it's automatic, it's conditioned in us. So, you know, we have to break that. And that's what we're going to move into now. How are we fixed for time?
So, Michael, this is the bottom line what Jesus meant when he said, forgive them for what they did not do.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
there's no way you could.
He only looked at that from this here. He didn't put them into
You
this.
can't do it down there.
He didn't put them in.
So why would Jesus ask God to forgive if God doesn't judge? Why is it necessary to request that God forgive them?
Don't
He did.
take that literal. He was talking to us, not God.
To us?
Yes. Okay, we do forgiveness through love, which is through God. Yeah? Alright, that's what he was talking about. That's what forgiveness is, it's love. So he demonstrated, even on the cross, and he talks about this in the Course, you know, he has greatest lesson was the crucifixion. So he wants you to believe. Alright? So what he was saying when he was up on the cross getting crucified and all the rest of it, he was able to forgive. So you might have an argument with the next door neighbor and you'll want him crucified. Do you know? So let's put it into perspective in all of this, like, you know, really, you know, if you don't basically recognize that you don't have to be crucified to use forgiveness, then you are going to be crucified to recognize that. And it's you that's going to be crucifying you.
If everybody needs to take responsibility, how would that work? Like you were describing having a room with kids and who ate the candy, so say there's 3 kids. Or in any situation where you have multiple people, but everybody must take responsibility, is that right? And how does that,
There's no...
does it even matter?
You see, you have... you're coming from the split mind,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay?
because there's,
And what you really want to be coming from here is this mind.
So see yourself as the oneness, as the Son of God.
You need to be thinking
And that's
all
what
the
takes
time
responsibility.
here from that perspective.
Okay.
And what I mean is you think that way, but what you're really doing is you're reinterpreting everybody and everything out of you. But as long as you actually think that, you know, when's this person going to do it, when's that person going to do it, is this person doing it, that, what are you doing? You're seeing separation. You're still filling these 2 rooms up. As long as you are giving energy to these 2 rooms, you're attached to them. You know. When you leave something and you don't go near it, like an old box or something, you put it in the garage, you don't go near it, you don't go near it, or your cobwebs, everything, you're not giving it attention. You go out and you open it every day. You know what I mean? Like, you're giving it attention. So, as long as you're giving this attention, then you're attached to it. And the way that you give it attention is by your thinking right and wrong, good and bad. So that's the key here. That's what needs to change. If you can change the thinking from that to this, all of a sudden you're raising your vibration. Even if you look, right, and you see 2 people arguing, and you say, wow, that person's projecting onto that person because this person's denying their guilt. They're suppressing it, they're projecting it out, and now they've reacted to this person. And you could say that person's doing the same. So what you're doing is you're reinterpreting exactly what you see now. What are you doing? You're not putting it into this. You're at this level. You're looking at things at this level. See, when we see 2 people arguing, what is the first thing we want to see? Who's to blame? And then our eyes will automatically see who's to blame. Say if it's a young guy and he's beating up on an old lady. You don't need to know why they're arguing. You know, you just know who's guilty there, don't you? You know, but the old lady, she's a rapist.
She's what?
A rapist.
Rapist.
So now who's guilty? See, everybody would automatically go that the young guy's guilty, and then, what? You know, you'd be shocked to learn. So, Jesus says in the Course, for us to judge any person or any situation, we would need to know that person's entire, complete history of every lifetime they ever had, ever will have. Not only that, you would need to know the same for everybody else.
Well, then is it okay to judge them if you, once you know their history?
You go ahead.
or do you want to be happy?
There's nothing, I'm not going to say it's right or wrong or good or bad. So, basically, sorry?
So is it basically just to acknowledge that everybody's doing the best they can
No.
with what they know, and when they know better, they'll do better?
No.
No.
It's about you seeing the truth in every situation. There's a truth in every situation. There's never nothing happening. Okay, when you wake up, you're going to see how this whole thing works. You just know the veil. Talk about the veil, of course. You're going to see behind the veil. You know, you're going to see the truth of why everything here and how magical and wonderful this world is. But the problem is you can't see that because you're looking through this lens of this mind. It's not until you get to here, when you open your eyes, that you'll see the truth in everything. But those truths start small. So, You know, you could be angry. What's the truth of that? If I said to you, why are you angry? What would you tell me?
Something happened I didn't like.
Yeah, you're going to a story. So what's the truth? You're feeling guilty. And you want to get rid of it. And you're looking for someone to blame. That's the truth. Even that simple truth will take you to there. You know? And it doesn't have to be something in the present moment. You could look at any past issues now with the truth. That's what the whole course is. It's showing us how to see the truth for ourselves. Let's say, for example, in the course, it says, give this to the Holy Spirit. What happens there? You're saying no to the ego. And you're going to hear because you're saying, and that's what Jesus says in the course. When you say no to the ego, you say yes to love, you say yes to God. So when you look at a situation and people say to me, I don't know what it means to give it to the Holy Spirit. Well, I says it means a lot because now you're not rationalizing, you're not going with the ego story. So everything comes down to choice. How do we fix it?
11:05.
Oh, fine, right. Well, let's start the new one. We'll just finish this off then, okay? So, even in your meditations, for transcendence, okay, as you get into your personality here, okay, don't be thinking of past and future. You're not going to be here. Don't be thinking of right and wrong. You're not going to be here. And don't be thinking of your thoughts as good or bad. You're not going to be here. You see, the ego has all its forces marshaled to keep you out of this stream of consciousness here. This goes all the way to heaven. Heaven is a state of mind. It's not a place. It's not up. It's not below. It's not that way. It's not that way. It's here right now. Okay? So there was the story, we were talking about it this last couple of days, and we were talking with Diane, and when Ken Wapnick had said that God doesn't know we're here. Have you heard that? What would you think of that, Brent? Does God know we're here?
Where?
Anybody else?
I used to think no, but then if God is all-knowing, then how would he not know that we're here? If he's everywhere.
Of course,
Right.
of course. Well, I said to God the last day, you know, what Ken Wapnick had said, and this is what God said. He says that Ken Wapnick didn't know that he was here.
Actually, he would say he knew, he actually said he knows he's not here,
Where is he? Which one?
meaning,
You see, there is no here, there, or everything. Everything's in vibration. When I do the fall of man, the separation, it goes like that down the way, right? But in reality, that diagram that I do, okay, it's like this. You know, that's the illusion. That's the only way, and it's like the Course. The Course is like this too. The Course is the only holographic book in the world. You open that book at any page and you'll hear what you need to hear at that time.
yeah.
It's written on 5 different levels, there's 4 different parts. But in our last class, we're going to tie the whole thing together. Okay? So listen, we'll have a look. Go ahead.
Just segueing off of what you just said, so if God is omnipresent and I'm in God, I must be omnipresent.
But you're not present, that's the problem. That's the whole, do you know what I mean? Like, he's,
But when I get to level 3, then
Yeah.
I could say that.
you see, it's like this, right? God's in this stream. And that stream is all there is. Everything on each side of that stream basically doesn't exist. And that's where our mind is. We're either here, here, we're going to here, here. Remember, the true right mind is also an illusion. It doesn't exist. You know, it's only the correction for the wrong mind. So don't be getting caught up, you know, but it's true at this level. And you see this room here. Things that are right and are good are true at this level. But that doesn't mean that they're true. You know, but at this level they're true. So that's why people fight and kill for the truths and beliefs at this level, because they're staying loyal to this level. So at this level, Basically, everything is true here, but it doesn't mean it's true. And again, at this level, what's in here is not true. Okay? Because it's still form. But the content of it's true, which is the love that it expresses. And when you get to here, this is the first level that you meet basically in oneness where there's nothing but truth. So it's all about going up the levels. We'll take a little 5-minute break now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get into some cool stuff. Thanks. Yeah, go ahead.
Like the day last, a couple weekends ago, when the guy from the restaurant came out and he gave Sandy her scarf back, and
Yeah.
you said that was an act of love or act of kindness, is that still ego?
Not at all.
That's love.
Of course.
So when someone, like we talk about Mother Teresa, does loving things every day, but she still has an ego.
But you see, there's the content of love, okay? And that love then is always expressed through the body into form. So someone holding the door for you, love. You know, your guy, he come out with the scarf. Of course, you know, it's an act of love. You didn't have to do that, like you could have just got it and said it there. Do you
Okay,
know?
but what's the difference act of love after hate? Isn't it still in the duality?
But you see, is it good or bad or right or wrong what your man did?
Good, bad, good, bad.
You see, you have the choice to look at it. So you can put him into the good room. What are you doing?
There has to be a bedroom.
You have to put somebody else. There is somebody else in the bad room, so why put him into the good room? Why
Okay,
say
so when you say that was an act of love,
the act itself, the content of it was love. Someone had left something behind and he came out to give it. Okay? So it was returned. The act itself, the content of it was love. So let's say it was a purse, and he got the purse, and he just went like that. So what's the content of that?
act of hate.
Lack.
Bedroom.
We just can't get you away from this bad room, can we? Huh? Well, how would you analyze that? Anyway,
He sees himself separate and he's in lack.
yeah, it's just not an act of love, is it? So what's he doing? He's calling for love.
It's a call for love.
Do you see what I mean? See, you're not putting them into the, oh sorry, they're way down the good or the bad road. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about the reinterpretation of everything. And if you can think of it this way, right? Just to summarize the whole thing. Think of a way of not putting them into the rooms. If you can't think of what to do, think of what not to do. See what I'm saying? So if you can't think, all right, I don't know, because it's going to be difficult at the beginning to get this turnaround. So what you're doing is, right, I'm not putting them into the good room, I'm not putting them into the bad room. It goes neither right nor wrong. That'll even get you up to the second level. Because now you're saying no to the ego. I'm not buying into this. But you see, the other thing I would say on this too, right, if you're in the world and you want to be a success in the world, and all of these things, then those two rooms are vital for you. But if your journey is to wake up, if your journey is, I want peace, I want to experience bliss every single day, then these thought systems have to be transcended.
So can you be successful in the world and awake at the same time?
Of course you can. It's not about what you do in the world. It is
Who you do.
who you do it with. And that's what we're going to come to now, right? So anybody here drive? Everybody drive.
In California.
All right, I need a volunteer. I'm going to pick you, Rod.
Uh-oh.
All right. Take me through the motions this morning as you went out to get into your car.
That doesn't work, I didn't drive today.
All right, okay. Then. Anybody here drove this morning?
Yes.
What do we see? Jenny,
Yes.
speak up to the camera. Right, take me through the motions of as if you were explaining to somebody how you got into the car and drove.
I picked up my keys. walked downstairs, got into the car, turned the key on, started the car, drove to Diane's house, picked her up, drove along the freeway, followed directions, and
Okay, that's good enough.
parked my car, got out.
So if I wanted to know how to drive a car, that would be enough for me, would it?
It all depends on how much detail you want.
I want detail.
Should I start again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you not hear me saying, explain to me as if I didn't know how you drove a car?
Okay, I opened the car door, sat down in the seat, took out my keys and put it into this little circle on the car where the key goes, and turned it on. Put my hands on the steering wheel.
So you didn't check to see if it was neutral?
You didn't adjust your mirrors either.
You didn't adjust your mirrors?
Never mind.
You didn't close the door.
So, you can all see here?
Yeah.
All right. Why are you missing the detail?
Because we do it so much, we're in.
I know. It's something we do so much, we do it unconsciously,
You do it automatically.
automatic.
How did
Well,
you
isn't
get-
that unconscious? We don't think about it.
Yeah. How did you get to that state?
To what?
To that state? That
Doing
you
it
could
over
do
and
all
over.
of that automatically without even thinking about it.
Doing it over and over and over and over.
Yeah. How did you get to that state?
Repetitious.
Yeah. That's how we learn.
Habit.
Habit. Okay. So if I said to you now that's how you drive a car, tell me now the same story with your body.
In the same story, what?
With your body, you.
With my body?
Your body is a car. It's a vehicle.
Oh.
Okay? Your mind drives it. So tell me, how does it work? How do you drive it?
Unfortunately with my mind, but that's changing.
That's not what I asked you. You know, you've been living in the world a long time. How have you been operating in the world? Tell me how you drive yourself, how everything works.
Automatically.
How's that working out for you?
Not good.
Brenda, tell me how you operate.
Well, it depends on the moment. Sometimes,
Like a car, all the...
yeah.
Right, take me through the whole process.
Have a thought based on things I may need to do. I follow that thought, and it creates an emotion, creates action, and then it repeats itself. And so it happens over and over again.
What's wrong with that story?
Well, by following, oh, sorry.
Well, but at the same time, depending on my vibration or where I'm at, I'm either in a great awareness of all these things and aware of what's happening, or I'm the complete opposite and I'm truly doing it more scripted like I just described.
You've made one fundamental error. Can anybody see it? Right at the very beginning, his first
You didn't choose.
3 words, or 4 words,
When he says the word I,
have a thought. You don't have any thoughts. No thoughts belong to you. You don't think. So, do you want to recalibrate your story now?
Sure. A thought passes into my awareness,
Yeah.
and then I either choose to act on it or I let it pass.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
I,
Yes. But we haven't even, we're working our ways back to that. Okay? It hasn't identified the thought. If you don't identify the thought in the thought system, what's going to happen?
You're gonna put it in the good room or the bad room?
Automatically. See, that's the key here. You see, when we start our stories, we start with I, where Roy is not going to let me forget. Then we have a thought, and then we have all the actions. I won't go to it. You see, if you follow that train of thought, you're going to be so far lost in the whole story that you're going to be in that story for a long time trying to fix it. Okay, so my whole point is this, right? Is the body, okay, is a vehicle. The mind is the driver of it. Okay, we need to learn, like a car, how everything works. It's that simple. So I'm going to show you the engine and how this works, and I want you to think of it like a car. You get in, okay, you turn the keys on, you don't put the handbrake off, you don't put the car into neutral like Jenny, and you just take off. What happens? You see, if you get into the car and you don't do something in your routine, what happens?
Well, the car's not gonna go.
Exactly. So if you're stuck in spirituality, if you're not going anywhere, all right, say if you didn't put the keys in, the car's not going to turn on. You know, if you didn't put the handbrake off, the car's not going to go in. If you didn't put the car into gear, the car's not going in. If you don't put the foot down, the car's not going in. So you have all of these variations for you to move forward, isn't it? Okay? So how many variations, or blocks as we call them, are we stuck on? You don't know, isn't it? It's very hard to know. And that's what we're going to do today through choice. Because what we're going to do, I'm going to do this now, and in the afternoon we're going to go through choice. And what I want you to do is each one that we pick out, you have to decide, recognize first, am I using this? Which you are. The second thing you have to do then is, do you want to continue using it, or do you want to do something else with it? Because as long as you keep choosing the same choices, nothing's going to change. So like the car, here is the engine of us. Every one of you sitting there now has this cycle of energy going around us. Some people call it our auras. But we're basically energy. When you take away the flesh, the bones, everything else, you're left with molecules, atoms, subparticles, all the rest of it. Okay, so it's energy. Energy creates the body and everything in the body. So energy is always moving. Okay, and there's energy inside you that's always a continuous. And this is what it is. So there's two energies in this world. Anybody tell me what they are?
Positive, negative?
Do. Good room, bad room.
Oh. Same thing.
Love and fear.
Love and fear. True and false. Okay? So those are the two energies. So what I want to do first of all is the energy that we're attached to in our separate bodies. If you're feeling down, angry, depressed, irritated, annoyed, unworthy, basically unloved, all of those things, this is what's happening in your energetic field. Okay? Don't be despondent, because once you know this, once you know that you do this, turn the keys on, you put the car into neutral, you put off the handbrake, you do this, now you start to move. Okay? You're not going to go anywhere unless you get everything dialed in perfectly. And we are very, very powerful spiritual beings. So just be careful when you do get it dialed in, because you could take off. Okay? So here we have what's called the unconscious, the bank. Alright? This contains the entire ego thought system, or it contains everything that is false. Everybody's got a bank. Okay? What happens with the bank, it comes into what the subconscious is. This is the two rooms. This is what's good and bad and what's right and wrong. Okay? Your subconscious creates your awakened dream. Your subconscious, okay, is neutral. Do you know what I mean by that?
It's like a computer that you program with your thoughts. you can have positive thoughts or negative, fear or love thoughts.
Let me do this over here in a miniature value, just to show you. Okay, this is the two energies we're talking about. One is you being unconscious asleep, the other one is being conscious and awake. In this one, right, in your emotions, in your consciousness, you will have peace. Okay, peace is a paramount, it's the first attribute you should be looking for in your life. If you don't have peace, you won't have joy. If you don't have peace and joy, you won't have love. And if you don't have those three in a continuum, you won't have bliss. So this is what's really in your mind, bliss. Okay? But it's been covered up by the unconscious here. So what we have done is we have covered up this mind here with this mind. We're pretending to be this mind. So to understand how this mind works, okay, let's say a thought comes out here and the thought is guilt. Right? And there's a lot of guilt in our unconscious mind because that's what the ego thought system is built upon. Hope that's not my banana. Bad room. I'll have to edit this out now. So, Gloria, right? I had a thought of guilt, okay? Comes in here, right? And I have a choice when it comes into the subconscious. Do I want to be guilty, or does someone else want to be guilty? Now the subconscious is those thoughts that are floating up there, and if we don't pay any attention to them, it's the ego actually making decisions for us, thinking that this is what we want.
But by definition, if it's subconscious, how can you pay attention to it? Because by definition, subconscious means you're not aware of it.
Subconscious means you do have awareness of it. You have partial awareness.
Most people don't, though.
Well, most people are fully asleep, so there I agree with you. Okay?
And also, to my awareness, Freud is the first person in the West that even identified the subconscious.
Of course. So that's why he needs all the thanks he can, because there wouldn't be a Course in Miracles if it wasn't for Freud.
Right. And so what hope was there for humanity?
Yeah, but let's stick with this. We don't need any statements, Regina. I want to stick to the teachings.
Okay, but I'm just wondering.
Unless it's a question.
Okay, the question is, what chance was there for anyone to wake up when we didn't even know there was a subconscious?
Well, we've known there's the subconscious for 100 years, and there's still an awful lot of people not ready to wake up. So just let's leave it there, okay? So here we have the bank, which is full of guilt, full of fear, full of sin, whatever, okay? That is coming out here all the time, okay? It's kind of like this engine never switches off. Unlike your car, you can take the keys out, the car sits there. But this engine is continuously going 24/7, 365. All right? And as long as you're attached to this mind, this is what's happening inside you all of the time. And unless you realize this, you know, if you can get a picture of this motor that's going in us, you get an image, well, here I can do this, here I can do this, here. So it's kind of like when you come up to an intersection or whatever, you have decisions to make. You know, and if you want to go this way, this is what you do with the car. If you want to go this way, this is what you do with the car. Okay? So awareness is key, because I want you to be able to spot all of these in every conversation that you're having with anybody. You're doing this. All right? There's never a moment that you're not doing this. Ever. As long as you're attached to this mind. Okay? So the thought comes in, of course here now, right, we have, it's a good thought or a bad thought. Well, of course it's guilt, it's going to be a bad thought. The thought here now comes into your emotional body. Alright? Eckhart Tolle calls this the pain body. So it comes into the awareness here in the body. Okay? So here's the key. Choice. At this moment in time now, right, we have the choice that we can project that thought into another body, into the world. Yeah? What do you think happens to the thought then?
Stop short.
No, this is what happens.
It manifests.
This cycle keeps going. This is, at this moment here, you have a choice to do something with it. If you don't, what happens is, remember we did last week on projection? Right? Projection. We suppress it. We project it, we rationalize it, and it goes back into the bank, and the same thought will come back up over and over and over again. This is what we're doing all the time. This is why we're staying attached to the same thoughts all the time. Everything comes down to choice. So let's say that you're feeling, say here, feeling agitated, irritated, annoyed, stressed out, or whatever, and you don't do anything with that, then you are going to automatically do all of this. Because you're making a choice. You're making a choice to do nothing. Okay? Maybe there's someone in here and they're really pissing you off. And that person is triggering the bank, which is bringing it into here, and you have a choice now again. You can blame that person, change that person, or you can let this go. Up until A Course in Miracles, especially for me, you know, we didn't have the meaning of what forgiveness is. Because at that time we had been all bought into and conned into religious forgiveness, which keeps us sinful and guilty. So true forgiveness has got nothing to do with religious forgiveness. Religious forgiveness keeps you in the same state of mind, does nothing. True forgiveness stops here. Alright. So if you're using, say, complete forgiveness, which is when you know, are feeling that emotion in the body, whatever negative emotion it is, you close your eyes, and now you don't rationalize it. Now you don't blame any external force or person or anything. A rationalization is an external excuse or justification for an internal problem. Okay? Remember what the workbook says. Nothing external to you can hurt you in any way. Okay? All pain is in the mind. It's not in the world, and there's no one in this world has the power to hurt you. So no matter what the thoughts that come in here, okay, if you choose to do nothing with them, you will project them onto the world, or your own body, or another body. So this is what people do with Hitler. You know, this is why people love to hate Hitler, because he's really guilty. He's in the bad room. And it doesn't matter about Hitler. You could pick Saddam Hussein, you could pick, you know,
Trump.
for Donald.
Michael, I missed the part when you go into, when the thought comes from the bank and goes into the subconscious. That's your split mind, so you put it in the good or bad?
You see, yeah, you see, you've already in your mind have this thought in one of these rooms.
Ah.
So this is all automatic. So everything here, you could say, is under the surface. You're not really aware of. You might be a little bit aware of your subconscious, you know, the thoughts. When you do a meditation, you're very aware of your subconscious. Because the meditations that we do is looking at the thoughts that we're attached to in the subconscious. We can't look at these because they're so deep, but we can in meditations look at these, and that's what we're asked to reinterpret. So, you know, at this level here, it all comes down to choice. So it's like when you get into the car, you have a choice to do everything right. And if you don't do everything right, then obviously there's something not going to happen. There's going to be an accident, or even the car's not going to start off. Isn't that right? So everything comes down to choice. Any more questions on that?
So you're choosing not to rationalize or to blame anyone. Instead, you're choosing to take personal responsibility for what you're thinking,
Yeah.
What you're feeling also,
what you're
and
thinking
the
and
emotions.
feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything basically.
Are you-
Everything.
are you-
And, you know, again, when you reach the third level, okay, this is your state of mind. All the time. You're just going to be in this state of contentness. And the deeper you go into yourself, this you can experience all of this at every second.
Are you going to take us through the process this afternoon, where we can plug in actual examples?
For choice, yeah, we're going to be doing it now. Do you know? So I don't want to move on unless you're happy with this, because what time is it?
11:45.
Yeah.
Yep.
Michael, when you said, I'll paraphrase it, rationalization is never fruitful, does that tie into the Course's statement that defense is a form of attack?
No, it would be the workbook lesson. I'm never upset for the reason I think.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's what a
Because it seems that
rational-
rationalization is usually a defense.
It is. It is. It's a defense against the truth.
Thinking is,
Because when you're the ego, you're in pain.
and you're making the thing real by
course.
rationalizing.
Of course, but that's the ego's objective also. You can't make the world real without making everything in the world real, and that means that all pain is real.
Okay.
So the biggest tool that the ego has, the biggest defense that the ego has, is rationalization. So if you're happy on that, I'm going to wipe the board. Anybody any last questions?
Would you talk about the choice? You have a choice over your emotions?
Yeah, we're going to do that now. Yeah? Okay, happy? See, this is what spirituality, and I think the name of the talk on this was The Truth About Spirituality or something like that, wasn't it? So this is what basically spirituality is all about, and what it really comes down to. Anybody ever see The Matrix?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. You remember the conclusion that Neo came to at the very end? Remember he was fighting Smith? What did he say at the very end? Huh?
End of the trilogy?
Yeah.
It's all in your mind.
Remember,
Nothing's real.
remember Smith was basically pounding him and pounding
Right.
him, and he was going, why? 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 Remember he couldn't kill him, and he kept why. And then Neil gets up, and what does Neil say? Did you even watch it at all?
It's been a long
Suppose you all got distracted with special effects and fighting and Neo and Black and all of this, like, you know.
It's been a long time.
You have to look at films and content.
Michael, we're giving you a forgiveness opportunity.
Sometimes there are too many of them to it. I'm not getting any dark here.
Sorry.
Here.
That's the one that was used, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, everything is choice. So, if you, and this is what life comes down to now, right? Is about choosing. You can choose to drive the car correctly and do everything and adhere to the rules of the road, or you can choose, all right, not to do everything correctly. So not a lot's going to change. It's going to just mean more disasters, more disasters. So what this comes down to now, we have choices. And if you don't know what you're choosing, then it really comes down to you must learn to know what you're choosing. So the first one here is you're always choosing between the ego or God, between love or fear, between truth or illusion, whatever symbol you want to put on it. There's plenty of symbols out there. So the first thing that we're always choosing is this. The other thing I would like to say on this, right, choice. You're free to choose, but you're not free from the consequences of your choice. That's so important.
So this is free will.
Yes, it is pure free will. Everything else, choosing to live here, or live in Colorado, to live in Miami, or to live in New York, is the illusion of free will. Okay? Choosing to go out with this person, or go out with that person. Choosing to eat this food or that food. Choosing to be a vegetarian or a meat eater. Those are all illusions of free will.
What about a very unconscious asleep person? Do they have free will?
No. No one has free will who's asleep.
So
You
we're
have to,
asleep.
because what they're doing is they're attached to a mind, okay? And it doesn't matter whether they choose right or wrong or good and bad, they're still choosing the ego. The ego can't lose.
So they don't have free will.
No. Free will is when you choose this way, up the levels, not linear,
So,
not between
so
past.
we don't, that most of humanity does not have free will.
All of humanity don't have free will until they wake up.
Michael, so we don't choose whether to eat meat or whether just to be a vegetarian. That's not a choice we make.
It's a choice you make, but it has no effect. You could be the most healthiest vegetarian person in this world. You're still going to die.
But that's not free will.
You could smoke, and you could eat meat and drink wine, and
You're still
basically
going to die.
all of those, and you're practicing forgiveness.
Right, you're still going to die.
No,
But that's not free
you're
will.
not going to die.
You're not going to die?
Because you're practicing.
Oh,
Because why aren't you gonna die?
the
Because
body's
you're
going to
choosing
die.
between true free will.
But that's not free will.
It's
Choosing
not
to eat
free
meat
will.
or not.
It's free will. The ego's free will.
The ego's free will, okay.
I mean, you know, God gave us free will, so the ego had to give us free will.
Okay.
And we all buy into the ego's free will. The ego's free will is you can go out with this person, you can go out with that person. You can do this, you can do that. They're all external choices. That's the point. True free will is between the internal and the external. Everything else is an illusion of free will. So, judgment. Let's look at judgment. Okay? Judgment. What's the effects of judgment?
Duality,
Pain,
suffering,
pain and
separation.
suffering. Keep you in the dream.
Stay asleep. Anybody have any other effects of judgment?
separation.
Good room?
Bad room? Does it matter?
Nope.
Mhm. So, stand up, who doesn't judge? Anybody?
When I'm in deep sleep, I don't.
You want to go to bed? No. You're just not aware.
Your dreams are.
This is the effect of this. Alright? So you're sitting there and you're telling me now, who's doing something about this? What is the answer to this? What is judgment? It's a choice. If If you're doing nothing with this, you're automatically choosing the ego, pain and suffering and conflict and everything else that's coming into play. This is the most basic and fundamental of all the ego's tools here, judgment. If you don't understand it, then it's going to keep, it's like getting into the car, not knowing to go right or left, or if this is a one-way street. All right, and you will always go up the wrong way. The ego guarantees that. Because the ego wants you to crash, collide, conflict. And then you get out of the car, and what do you do then? You start arguing, who's right and wrong. Isn't that right? So you can see all of this. This is hurting everybody, and basically, this is what Einstein said also. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, insanity. So you're making this choice at every moment. So tell me, somebody, please, how judgment works.
Well, isn't this what we talked about Monday night? When you said that we didn't talk about it Monday night?
Yes?
I thought we did. When you said that judgment is when we look outside of ourselves, right?
No, I didn't say that.
When we search outside of ourselves?
Yes. Okay.
Judgment is searching outside yourself?
Yes.
How, could you explain that?
When you want someone else to like you,
Yeah.
okay, you're going to judge that person, judge yourself, and judge everybody else. When you see someone and you don't like that person, and you want to let that person know that you don't like them, that's a judgment. Yeah?
Yeah.
So you can see judgments mean rejection. You're always rejecting a part of yourself. So if you want to find a real nice person, okay, how are you going to find a real nice person among 7.5 billion people? You're going to have to start judging and rejecting an awful lot of bad people. People who are not right. People who are wrong. You know, all you're really doing here is filling up those 2 rooms. Ego loves it. Because the more energy you put into those 2 rooms, the more conflict you will be in yourself. Because those 2 rooms are conflict. Okay? And if you keep giving both of them energy, the both of them are in conflict with each other. Okay? So judgment is an effect of you seeking inside yourself. But here's the key. We're in a world, and everything is outside of ourselves. So the key is, we're not asked to not seek outside ourselves. We're asked to, anything you do seek outside yourself, do not become attached to it. And that means you have no investment in the outcome.
Can you give an example?
Well, like you could be putting on an event, you know, and you could really want it to be a big success, so you want to earn a lot of money out of it, so you're heavily invested in the outcome. Or you could be putting on that event and basically doing the best job that you can, and if people turn up, they turn up. And if no one turns up, are you angry or depressed about it? If you are, you become attached to it. You become attached to things because you're invested in the outcome. So everybody who wants to wake up is invested in the outcome of them doing the course. And this is why I say to people, at some point, you're going to have to leave yourself behind.
On the journey though, can you be upset but become aware I'm upset and I need to let go of
Yes.
that I'm concerned with the outcome?
Well, of course, it's all mind training at the end of the day. We have to train our minds. If you can get into a state of mind where you're at peace, okay, and try and hold on to that peace, then anything that comes in takes away that peace. You can deal with it. So the more you can get into your personality, the more you can come into a nice center in your world. You know, I'm doing some work with Diane at the moment, and this is what we're doing, like, you know. She's trying to come into that natural state of being. That's who we are. We all have this state of being, okay? But the state of being is not the state of doing. All right, you get that?
No.
As long as you're doing, you'll never be. And Shakespeare said, to be or not to be. You can be in a state of being anytime you choose. It's bliss. But you can't have that state of being as long as you're doing. Doing is of the ego. When you're doing, what are you always doing? Why are you doing what you're doing?
To get something.
To get. Why do you need to get something? Lack. Because the ego being nothing, and you're attached to the ego being nothing, you have nothing. So you need people, you need money, you need wealth, you need health, you need all these things, you need friends, you need a career, you need fame, you need a reputation, you need an identity, you need a religion. So this is what we're doing all the time. Which is you really saying, I don't want to be. Every time you're doing something, God created all of us perfect. We're neither male nor female. We can attach ourselves to both identities, if we want. It's neither good nor bad or right or wrong. Okay? The only thing that's true is love. That's what you need to get your head around. And there's no love as long as you
Judge, as long as you judge.
Love is the absence of judgment. Okay? So as long as you're choosing to judge, okay, that is a lack of love. That is the effect. Okay? And what Jesus says in the Course, and what the Dalai Lama say, and other people say, love is the absence of judgment. So you can see here in this one kind of contest alone, the enormity of the effects of your decision of choice. You know, you could be doing so much in the Course correctly. You could be, you know, there could be a wealth of bliss just waiting there for you, but as long as you're attached to judgment, you're denying it.
Let's say you're looking for a mate to marry.
So you want to own and possess someone.
Well, no, you want a companion, you want love. And suppose you go out on a date and the guy orders 6 drinks and you notice he's drinking, he's an alcoholic. Don't you require judgment to determine that this is not a suitable mate to commit your life with?
So where have you put him?
In the wrong bathroom. How do you do a mate selection?
Where have you put you?
Good room.
Oh, well, that's the whole...
Okay, but how do you do mate selection without using your egoic
Sure,
judgment?
the first thing here is as long as you're searching for love outside, you're denying the bliss inside. Do you not realize that? So, you know, you could sit there and you could give out to God and everybody else about how much fear you're in and, you know, no one loves me and I feel worthless, I feel abandoned, I feel all of this. Why are you doing it? Because you're seeking outside yourself. You really want to find something outside yourself. You need judgment to do it. That's an effect. Alright, but the problem is not judgment. The problem is you're denying the bliss, the abundance, peace, joy, and love inside.
Okay, I totally get that.
No, you don't.
No, I do.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
But you said that while we're in the world, we are going to seek for things outside ourselves, including food, even breathing is a choice.
Yes.
And so what I think is, in regards to that question, is that there is good judgment.
And Jesus says
As
that,
long
of
as you're
course.
outside of yourself, you are going to have to make judgments.
Of
But,
course.
you know, you have to recognize that
Yeah. Of course.
you don't need them, so you don't become attached to the outcome.
But we're living in a world where
Right,
people
let
want to
me
get married.
yeah,
and
let me say
children.
this to you. Let me take you through that scenario again,
Okay.
and let me reinterpret for you. So you're going out, okay? You haven't connected with the bliss inside. You're not expected to basically do without companionship and friendship and love and all of this. So you have your mind made up, right? I'm going to go out, I'm going to go on this date, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to go completely unconditional with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to put this person into the good room or the bad room.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to see it as right or wrong or good or bad. Okay?
Mhm.
You can go out with that state of mind. All right? And allow that person to be in who they are in their most naturalist form. And you do the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then you make a choice. Is this something that's true or is this something that's not true? You know, is this person a symbol of the love that I seek? Is it true or false? So what I'm saying here is now you're not splitting your mind by putting this person into a room or you into a room.
But doesn't it require some degree of judgment to determine if they are coming from the truth or from illusion?
Yes, but now you're not judging good or bad or right or wrong.
But you're still determining this person is drinking too much and I don't want to be around that.
Couldn't we just call that discernment and
Of
not
course,
judge it?
that's exactly what I was going
If
to
I was
come
an
to.
alcoholic, I may say, this is
But
the
that is-
perfect person for me, I
Yes,
don't know.
of course. So discernment is making a true choice. But it always has to come from what's your motivation here. Do you really want to meet someone and to fall in love and get lost in that relationship and end up with all the pain that's going to come from it? Because it is. You can't seek for pleasure in the body and escape pain. Jesus says that very clearly in the Course. Very clearly. And what he's really saying is when you're seeking outside yourself, because our bodies are outside of ourselves, when you seek anything outside of yourself, you're going to get hurt. Now, I'm guaranteeing you, there's nobody in this room hasn't been badly hurt in a relationship. Is there? At some point. A relationship with anybody. I'm not talking about intimate relationships. It could be family or whatever, right? So you know what I'm talking about here. Okay. The reason why that pain was there is because you were seeking for something from this person. You wanted this person to be a better person. You wanted them to love you more. You wanted them to like you more. You didn't want them to do bad things. All of these conditions that we put onto it. We're continuously putting this person into one or two of these rooms. We're addicted to these two rooms. Seriously. Do you know? And what I mean by that, addicted to it, is we just do this naturally. Okay? But there's something else. When Jesus says in the Course that miracles become natural, okay? When you get into the car, those are all miracles. You're doing it naturally, aren't you? You know, it's not stressing you out, you're not getting worried about whatever, it's just natural. Okay? Well, that state of mind of being awake, peace, joy, love, bliss, peace, joy, that's natural. That other one is really not natural. Okay? So, that's judgment. Okay? So, the other thing about judgment is you have to remember this is there's judgment, there's non-judgment, and there's without judgment. Do you know the three differences, Brent?
No.
What is it to be non-judgmental? You're seeking outside yourself, but you're not attached to what you're seeking. You're not invested in the outcome.
What is that?
Non-judgment.
To be in the awakened state?
No,
No.
it's in level 2. Okay?
Isn't that what discernment means? You
Level
just-
2
you're
is
observing something, but
Yeah,
you just
but
go.
level 2 is discernment. That's where discernment is, because it's true and false. You know, discernment is making a true choice. And the only true choice that you can make in this world is anything that's between love and fear, between true and illusion, between God and the ego. Okay, that's discernment. You know, between your false self and between your true self. All of these are true choices. So, to be non-judgmental is you're looking for things in the world like Regina, but now you learn not to be attached to the outcome. So you train your mind, you prepare it, okay, like you're giving a talk or you're doing this, you train your mind in these relationships. Maybe you're going out to meet someone for dinner and you're not sure you're going to like them or not like them or whatever. So you go out there completely unconditional. Chilled, relaxed. But imagine if you went out there and you really wanted to like this person. And then this person drinks 6 glasses of beer and gets drunk and all the things like. You're so heavily invested in there, you're going to be bloody downright angry with that person, aren't you? Were you angry with that person? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Because you were so invested in the outcome. You know, but you would have had a different experience if you had went out there with not being attached to the outcome.
Is that like no expectations?
Exactly. No needs, no demands. Isn't this what true love is?
Mhm. Right.
So every date or every relationship, you know, what's all the attachments that you have to it? What's the demands? What's the expectations? What's
Does that
the
mean that you don't have a sense of distaste at their drunken behavior?
You make a choice in life.
I mean, to me, that's distasteful.
No, but what you see, what you're doing now is you just fall into the trap. You can make a choice and walk away and say, that's simply not something that's not true, and I don't want that in my life. You're not condemning it, you're not condemning yourself. Every time you condemn someone else, you condemn yourself. It's that simple.
I don't know if this will help Regina, but I've had the experience as I'm slowly traveling through the course. And for some reason, I have a memory of how it used to be, and people will use relatives, they're really easy, family, are still saying and doing things, and still there's a saying what used to be considered painful, crazy dynamics. But for some reason now, I think they're all so funny. And even part of me can't even figure it out. I find humor in the whole thing. And I guess because this part of me that knows it's not real is okay with it, you know. And nobody's more surprised than me. It kind of crept up on me. I didn't like write it in a notebook and say, oh, I did my homework,
Yeah,
okay, I got
yeah.
it. It's
Of course.
just like kind of
But that's
surprising.
just, you know, every time that you see a truth, every time that you choose a truth, your eyes open. You literally wake up.
Right, but it's not like
No,
fireworks
no,
go off. It
because-
kind of
no.
creeps up on you, and then you go, oh, I remember when that same thing used to happen. I used to get so pissed or hurt or blah, blah, blah. And now it's shifted.
Yeah, because you see, ultimately, is this gentle letting go period that there's just this gradual awakening. You know, the
Yeah, it's
other,
very gradual.
the other way would be you needed to be in complete darkness to have this.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, you know, let's say at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. and you have a massive big light, bright light, and you're in your bed in complete darkness and someone switches the on light,
Right.
you know, just like that. I mean,
Right.
you know, it would really shake you up.
Right.
So
Shocking.
the course is not like that. The course is just going to be a gradual kind of shift and more peaceful and
Right.
more confidence. and
But
stuff.
some people have sudden instant awakenings, do they not?
Yes, of course they do.
I get
Like
it,
from-
totally.
From dark to light, instantaneous.
Yes.
I
Yes.
totally.
Okay, so you have judgment, you have non-judgment, and sorry,
I wanted to ask you, the difference between judgment, what was the other word?
Discernment.
Discernment.
non-judgment.
Discernment is, in judgment, there's an emotional component where
An emotional
it's like
investment.
good
yeah.
and bad.
Yeah.
But in discernment,
Yeah.
you're just objective, there's no emotional component.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
I go out with a man and
Mm.
he's drinking, and if I'm in judgment, I'm going to say, oh my God,
Yeah.
this guy's a heavy drinker, he's, bad, and putting him in the bad way.
Right.
But if I go out and I have no expectations, and I'm just observing, oh, he's drinking quite a bit, okay, he's probably not for me.
Yeah. Why? Because ultimately, you know, it's not love,
Right?
and you're choosing love. So we all have to make these choices, like, you know, it's not about condemning the person. Everybody is either choosing love or fear.
Right.
Okay, so if you're in a relationship with someone and that person is adamant that they want to basically hurt themselves, which means they're going to hurt everybody around them, and you knowingly put yourself into that position, then what are you doing? You're putting yourself into that position because you want to play victim.
Right.
So do it with your eyes open. You know, you can't sit and blame other people for drinking. Why? Because you're putting yourself into that position. You are creating that whole experience for yourself. You can get up and walk away from any experience, but walk away because it's not true. Okay, don't walk away because it's wrong or that it's bad. Yeah? So you have judgment, you have non-judgment, and then you have without judgment. Okay? Those are the three levels. Okay, this is level 1, level 2, and level 3. Without judgment is love.
You misspelled this judgment.
That's okay, can you forgive me? Yeah. Alright. So, there's no love in judgment. The beginning of love occurs in non-judgment. That's where you have a friendship with someone, but that friendship now becomes unconditional. You're not seeking anything from them. Do you know? So let's say it's a family member, a sister, a brother, or whatever, and maybe it's your birthday and they don't call you up to wish you happy birthday. And then the next time you see them, then like you let them know. You're still in judgment. The relationship's conditional. It's selfish. So in all your relationships, if that person that you're in a relationship with, any of them, if they didn't contact with you, if they didn't do all the things that you like them to do, how would you feel about them? So we begin now to look at our demands, our expectations, our needs and our desires, and we begin to stop seeking to change the other person or to put them into any of the two rooms.
Suppose you have a reservoir of trauma from a traumatic childhood, which Eckhart Tolle would call the pain body, and suppose their behavior triggers that pain that many of us carry. That, how do you get rid? I mean, how do you get rid of that pain body, that trauma that many of us carry, that other people trigger constantly?
Okay, well the first thing, you started off your story again, and you started from a complete untruth.
Which is that
That
nobody
you're
can hurt you.
that you were carrying a reservoir of pain in the pain body
Yeah,
from your childhood.
yeah.
It's not true. Simple as that. You need to look at that again and realign it and bring it to the truth.
Please explain that to me.
We'll do that some other time. I want to stick to this
All
routine.
right.
Okay? So, our next choice comes down to rationalization. That's what I have raised. It's a big word, it won't fit in there, sorry. Alright. So, rationalization is a choice. And the problem with rationalization is our entire life is a rationalization. Why?
Keeps us in dream.
Keeps who in the dream?
It keeps us in the good room.
Yes, that's what the rationalization. But it keeps you not being you. Okay? That's the secret behind all rationalizations. Okay? It keeps the pretense going. It keeps you attached to the ego. So let's look at it here. A rationalization, as we said, is an external excuse for an internal problem. But the effects of that, basically, is conflict, pain, excessive pain, suffering. Anything else? Death, sickness.
Would you give an example of rationalization?
Cancer. A rationalization, say if you're sick, you just rationalized your pain by saying it was coming from your childhood.
Yeah.
A rationalization is a non-truth. The ego wants you to blame your childhood because then you can blame your parents, which means that you're the victim, they're the victimizers, also that this world is real, the body's real, and everybody that's in it is real. That's just summed up how important rationalization is to the ego. Now, rationalization is also inverted. And that means everything you rationalize negative, you keep, and everything you rationalize positive, you lose. Anybody? Are you happy with that explanation?
Yeah.
Do you know what it means?
Everything you rationalize, what is what? That was too fast for me, I'm sorry.
Everything you rationalize negative, all your emotions, you keep. Everything you rationalize positive, your emotions, you lose.
I don't know what that means.
Right. Let's say, what it means is this, and this is the whole goal of the ego. Inside every one of us, right, there's an ocean that's endless and timeless, and it's bliss. Alright? And the ego's objective is to keep you away from that ocean for as long as possible. And that's what rationalization is. Alright? So, anytime we connect with this ocean inside, this joy, this peace, this love, the ego wants to close that door immediately. So you might look at a beautiful sunset. You might look at a beautiful person, a beautiful artwork, a beautiful bit of literature, beautiful anything, right? And all of a sudden, that door inside has just been opened. It's been filtered out. But that happened before you looked at this thing. So now what the ego gets you to do is to project this feeling onto that. So people now believe that the feeling is as an effect that's coming from what they just seen, what they just experienced. Ego loves that for two reasons. It's saying that the world is real and this is what the world has made you feel. Okay? You're looking a bit mystified, Brent?
I'm just processing.
Alright? You see, the ego always goal is for us to make the world as real as possible. And it doesn't matter whether you see the world as real, or as good or bad, or you see it as right or wrong. It doesn't care, because it's real. And that's what a rationalization does. It makes the world real. So the ego, it's like when you meet a person and you fall in love with that person, that door is open, you're experiencing this. But you believe the reason why you're experiencing this is because of that person. You see, it's an external reason or justification for you feeling so good. That person has only showed you what you have inside. And if you continue to believe it was all about that person, you lose it. It closes up again. So the minute that person goes out of your life, the door closes. So now that's a rationalization. You're rationalizing that the reason why I felt so good was because of this person. So you lose it. Let's say then that you're feeling pain, anger, okay? And you project that onto somebody, or onto the world, or onto your own body. You keep it. Because that's the ego. The ego needs that pain, that anger, that irritation to cover up the bliss that's inside. If there's no pain, there's no anger, then there's nothing to cover up the bliss. And rationalizations cover up the bliss. So, you look at your past, you look at your present, look at your identity, okay? Look at your emotional pain body. You're rationalizing every single part of it. So here you are, doing A Course in Miracles. You're trying to wake up. You could be doing a spirituality, you could be doing any philosophy or whatever, right? And here you're trying desperately, and you're going up and you're going down, you're going up and you're going down, and you're going nowhere. The reason you're going nowhere is because you're still rationalizing. Okay, it's a choice. Maybe you didn't know what you were rationalizing. Okay? But it's like Ginny getting into the car, the keys are in the house. Okay, she's desperately here, okay, putting them here, going here, here, ain't going anywhere. Okay? Every little part has to be aligned perfectly. So what we're doing here today is like a safe. Alright? So if you're rationalizing and you're in judgment, what does that mean?
You're in trouble.
These are two biggies. You ain't going anywhere spiritually, vertically, you're only going one way.
I have an example of that.
Yeah.
So the keys, you get in the car and you don't have the keys. And then you go in the house, because you know you left them, and you don't know where you put them in the house.
But you know that there's someone.
And then you've tried all your kids, the dog, who touched my keys, who moved my keys, you know.
Yeah.
And it just goes, I know it was silly, but it
Yeah.
just, I was
Struggle.
thinking when you said
Yeah.
forgot your keys,
Yeah.
it's like, and then you could keep going downward in that spiral.
Exactly. And what it means is when you rationalize a story, that's what you're talking about.
Right.
Right? You're bringing witnesses in, you're bringing
Right.
people in, you're bringing.
You try to blame all
Oh,
of them.
and then people, right, leave this part and now they're way off down this path, this journey, and it's getting darker and more lonely and everything else. You know, it's
Right.
never about the person who you're
Right.
with.
So I want to carry it one step farther to just see how this tunnel works. So then you actually find the keys in the pocket of your bathrobe because you forgot that earlier in the morning you moved the car, but you were still in your bathrobe. Then you call all the people you hollered at and blamed and tell them, whoops, it was my mistake. I am so sorry. Da, 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 da. So
If you were feeling so guilty at that level, I wouldn't do that at that moment in time. The whole thing, these people are props. Do you know what I mean? They're
Right.
there.
Right.
This whole, think of it, we're in Hollywood, think of it as a set. Alright? So every conflict, every situation that you have up with someone, right? It's all been set up to give you a lesson. So you can see a part of your mind in this. You can see the thoughts that you're attached to in this. Alright, so we're all attached to certain thoughts. So, Brent, every relationship that you have, okay, it's a story. Right? And in that story, there's a whole lot of thoughts. And most of the thoughts will be unconscious. Yeah? The reason why you're here is to wake up, is to find those thoughts in the stories and detach from them. Because it's your unconscious mind is in the story. That's it. Okay? You don't have to physically do anything with the person that you're involved with apart from take what they're showing you. Because everybody's a mirror. Everybody's reflecting back to us what we need to see. Are you awake enough to realize that this person is showing me my own guilt? That this person is showing me my own fear, my own lack?
In reference to what she was saying, where you would later find the keys and then you can go back to everyone. Since this is all happening only at the mind level, you can't go back if you chose to in your life, like say with your relationship with your parents or relatives or friends or whatever, and look at the emotions around that and heal those. Would that speed up your process of letting go?
You see, ultimately in another way, Jody, you can't look on sin and forgive it. Okay, if you've hurt someone and you believe you've hurt someone, right, and you go to try to fix that, what do?
you're saying it's real.
But you're looking on sin and trying to forgive it. Okay? The whole point of this is it's impossible that you can hurt anybody, and it's impossible that anybody can hurt me.
But, yes, and
So-
at the same time, if I see it's real, rather than see it's real, say, oh, it's an opportunity, what am I gonna,
Yeah.
what gift am I gonna
Yeah,
get here?
the
What
whole
am I gonna
point
do?
of that story is you to keep that story, and you're going to keep that story until you fully reinterpret it.
Right. Well, I actually make
The-
it.
Yeah, but it doesn't doesn't matter, but you get the gist here.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
all our relationships, everything in your past, the only way you're going to let it go is to get out of the good room and the bad room, the right room or the wrong room, and reinterpret it. Everything has to be reinterpreted. And that means every story, every belief that you've ever held has to be reinterpreted.
But why is it impossible
Richard.
to hurt someone? I don't get it.
Regina.
Okay.
So is it helpful to do, as I mentioned, can you do that? Because you're doing it at the mind level, so if you find emotions around it, then you're still carrying that with you.
Yeah, but what I would say to people is deal with it first here.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's all at the mind level. You
Yeah.
don't call up anybody, no.
But then once you deal with it, you will be in a complete right-minded way that you will be able to, you'll be guided to maybe take action, maybe not to take action.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about feeling your emotions, the whatever negative or pain or suffering.
You
you're
bring it
still
out to the
feeling.
truth. Don't rationalize it. If you rationalize it, then there's a continuation of this.
That's what you, yes.
Okay?
So reinterpret.
Reinterpret everything. That's what forgiveness does. Forgiveness only reinterprets our denial. Okay?
Well, but when we say we're sorry, aren't we saying, I'm not right, I wasn't right, and giving that up?
When you say you're sorry to who?
The person that,
So you do believe you've hurt the person?
there's no victim, no victimizer.
There's nothing wrong with saying sorry. Don't get me wrong on that. But what the whole point of this is for you to take responsibility. And you know what that means?
No blame, no judgment.
On yourself either. And if you're saying sorry, what are you doing?
Making yourself the victimizer?
Yeah. You're putting blame on yourself.
Blame yourself.
Of course.
Or you're giving yourself another forgiveness opportunity.
Of course. But the whole point of this is to transcend that mindset. That's the thinking of level 1. All right, we're reinterpreting to level 2. Okay? Everything must be reinterpreted. So the thinking has to change around everything. The more that you're up in level 2, okay, the more your thinking is going to change automatically. But you have to, you know, when you get everything in the car, okay, when you get everything moving, then the car starts to move. Okay? The only time that you're going to start moving here is when you get to level 2. Alright, nothing's going to change in your life. If your life is the same way it was now as it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, basically it's always because you're not moving vertically. You might be moving this way. It might seem that things change. But in reality, the same old emotions, the same feelings, the same everything is still there inside all of us. Okay? So we must move vertically rather than linear. Okay? So that's what choice does. Choice will take you up. Okay? So it's always choosing about staying down or up. Between the ego and God.
12:35.
35. All right. Right, well, we're not going to, we're going to finish there. We'll continue this now. And in the afternoon, we're going to be going through all the choices. So take careful attention to them and do a bit of work with this, because this is what life is. It's choice. You know, and going back to what Neo said to Smith at the end of the day when he says, why will you not die? You know, why will you not basically give up and all of the rest of it? And Neo turned around and he said, because I choose to. Choice.
Who said that?
That's what life's all about, like, you know. Everything in your life is always in it because you have chosen it. No one else, only you. And if you're going to be a victim of that, please be a victim with the truth that you have chosen it. Okay, no one else has chosen it for you. It hasn't happened by an accident. Okay, thanks folks.